who covers one of the best teams in the entire country, the South Carolina women's basketball team. Of course, Texas is a team they played a couple of weeks, about last week now, and
Right.
lost that game. Thankfully for them, it's not a conference game. The way that it just works out with the SEC scheduling. So still, undefeated in conference play technically, but got a
Right.
bounce back win there over Louisville. What did you make of the Gamecocks? Coach Don Staley and company aren't challenged this tight this often, but they were able to answer it.
Yeah, and they're definitely able to bounce back from that loss against Texas. Obviously, with Louisville, they kept it pretty close the entire game, but Don Staley is able to find lessons in every single matchup. And with the Louisville matchup, Medina Okot just continues to play super well in the paint. She's getting rebounds, she's boxing out, and she's kind of become a go-to scorer. She's back-to-back SEC Player of the Week, and she didn't even play the entire game against NC Central. So she's just continuing to show what she can do. And Tessa Johnson, another player who didn't play at all actually in the NC Central game, came out against Louisville and played really well, was 4 of 7 from 3. She led with 20 points in the game and, just continues to show why she is becoming a go-to as well. A lot of the players are playing heavy, heavy minutes. I mean, 38 minutes for Tessa Johnson, Raven Johnson,
Goodness.
Tanaya Latson in that Louisville win. And so they really pushed the limits to see what these women are capable of, and they showed that they're capable of quite a lot.
Did Dawn Staley hang out with Tom Thibodeau in the offseason? Because I mean that's like a Tom Thibodeau type
Yeah.
offense. Let's just run them out there until the
Yeah.
wheels fall off at that point.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not ideal, right? You want to be able to give your stars some rest and allow them to play healthy throughout the entire season. And maybe those 38 minutes caught up to Tessa Johnson, who ended up going down with an illness and didn't play in NC Central. But, you just see the strength that they have. And if they're able to play 38 minutes in the beginning of the season, what can they do when they have that strength and conditioning towards the end of the year?
You talked a little bit about Medina there, and I think she dropped a double-double against Louisville. How important is she going to be in the paint as South Carolina starts to wrap up the non-conference schedule and get into SEC play?
Yeah, well, that was her 7th double-double of the season. She leads the nation in that. So no big flex there.
Yeah,
right?
no
But
big flex at all.
Right. She continues to just show how important of a player she is. South Carolina has, in the last couple of years, especially since winning championships, they've had players who are able to box out, who are able to be super dominant in the paint and get all of the offensive rebounds, get all the defensive rebounds. And when they lost Chloe Kitts before the season even started, I think it was a question of who will step up and fill that role. And Medina is absolutely showing that she's capable of doing just that.
One of the big things with Coach Don Staley's teams is that she can win in a variety of ways, whether it's low scoring and, as you mentioned, just being able to crash the glass and kind of play ugly basketball, so to speak, and then also run it up and just be a free-flowing transition basketball team. What's this year's team? Where will they play the best whenever it's their staple, whenever it's their kind of game? Because we've seen it in wins, we've seen it in blowout wins, close wins, and the lone loss there. What's the mark of this year's team and the way they'll have to play to be able to grind out those conference wins?
I think that's a good point, and because it speaks to the fact that they are still trying to find their identity. It's a lot of young players on this team who are still trying to figure out how to gel and how to work together. And so we saw just that. We saw a win where they had to grind it out, how to be crashing the boards and doing really well in all areas, defensively especially. And then we saw the game against NC Central where they ran up the numbers. 106-42 was the win there. And so we're still kind of learning what their identity is, but absolutely playing strong defense and playing well in the paint is always kind of an identity for the South Carolina team. So I'm sure they'll lean more on that, but still trying to figure out what the identity of this particular group is.
One of the things that Don Staley has always been and good at, in my opinion, is being able to not just to talk about just the X's and O's and the players and whatnot, but also just kind of a philosophical standpoint. Before we get your thoughts on this, let's hear Coach Staley talking about games being lessons.
I mean, they're all lessons. No matter the competition, they're lessons of discipline. Can we play discipline on both sides of the ball? Can we just play together? And it's challenging. It really is challenging. But I'm glad that we have, some games on our schedule where we can actually be a little more versatile. Just work through some things where, they aren't game deciding decisions being made in the first quarter.
So we were saying on the front end that she's such a good teacher of the game, obviously, but then also being able to use basketball as kind of really more of an umbrella to learn lessons for this team. If you were to maybe point out 3 or 4 things that have really impressed you over the years with Coach Staley and her coaching, now that we have a really strong sample size here, what are some of the things that pop out?
Just the fact that she is so well liked among her players, among the media. I mean, one of the things that she does that no other coach I've ever seen does is she gives the local media time to interview her and hang out with her before or even after she does these kinds of press conferences. So for example, she did that press conference in Louisville and then probably walked right outside and had a little scrum with the local media. And that's just something that you don't see from a lot of coaches. And it's something that just speaks to the kind of person that she is beyond just being a coach. But obviously her coaching ability and just the fact that she was such a talented player, she pours everything into the women that play for her and the staff that work under her. And you just continue to see that through all of the players who continue to come back and acknowledge her, Asia Wilson being one of them, right? Like everybody loves Asia Wilson, and she was coached by none other than Dawn Staley. So just an incredible person, an incredible coach who continues to breed greatness from her women.
Absolutely.
Mariah, now they turn their attention to Penn State coming up, and Penn State's lost 2 in a row. South Carolina looking to eclipse double-digit wins. What are you looking forward to in that game? And I know we just talked about Dawn Staley wanting to use all of these games as lessons. What if you had to picture one lesson and one thing that South Carolina hasn't been really doing well in recent games for them to improve on, what would it be?
Well, they did kind of do it well in this NC Central game, so I'm cheating a little bit on this answer, but just the ball movement and the assist and, kicking the ball out when you don't have the clean open shot, but you see someone out on the wing that has the open shot. And that was something that Joyce Edwards was able to do a lot more in the NC Central game, and that's something that Coach Staley has been calling on her and the other players to do. Just play together. We heard it there in that soundbite. Play discipline, play together. And so I think just moving the ball around a little bit more and taking the shots that are available, not only to you, but making it available for the rest of your teammates is a lesson that they picked up from the NC Central game and something that they hopefully continue throughout the season.